$5 million, sent by my wife to her ex. That was the moment I knew my marriage was over, and the moment I finally learned the truth she'd been hiding for years. My name is Noah, and 3 years ago I thought I had the perfect marriage. My wife Olivia was brilliant, successful, and beautiful. She ran an import-export company that was making $20 million in profit each year. I was a programmer making about $15,000 a month. Sure, there was an income gap, but I never thought it mattered. We loved each other. We had a life together. We had plans. That morning started like any other. I was at my desk working on code when my phone buzzed. It was a notification from the bank. Large transfer alert. I opened it, expecting maybe a payment for Olivia's business or something routine, but when I saw the amount, my hands started shaking. $5 million, transferred to someone named Ethan White. At first, I convinced myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe it was a business deal. Maybe Ethan was a client or investor. I tried to push it out of my mind and focus on work, but I couldn't. That name kept echoing in my head. Ethan White. Where had I heard that name before? Then it hit me like a punch to the chest. Ethan White was her ex-boyfriend, her high school sweetheart, the guy she dated all through high school and college before her parents forced them to break up because his family didn't have money. The guy she claimed she was completely over, the guy who was supposedly just an old friend now. I sat there staring at my computer screen, not seeing anything, just replaying every conversation we'd ever had about Ethan. She'd mentioned him occasionally over the years, always casually, always in passing. Oh, I ran into Ethan today. Ethan started a new business. Ethan's doing well. I never thought anything of it because she said they were just friends. And I trusted her. I trusted my wife. But $5 million isn't friendship. $5 million is something else entirely.
I left work early. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't think about anything except that transfer. When I got home, Olivia was in the living room working on her laptop. She looked up and smiled when I walked in, completely normal, like nothing was wrong. And maybe to her, nothing was wrong. Maybe this was perfectly normal. That's what terrified me most. I pulled up the divorce papers I had already prepared and placed them on the coffee table in front of her. Her smile disappeared instantly. Her face went pale. She stared at the documents like they were written in a foreign language. "Are you crazy, Noah? Why would you want a divorce for no reason?" Her voice was shaking, but I couldn't tell if it was from shock or fear or anger. "No reason?" I pulled out my phone and showed her the bank notification. "You transferred $5 million to Ethan White yesterday. Did you think I wouldn't find out?" The color drained completely from her face. Her fingers gripped the edge of the divorce papers. "You checked my accounts?" she whispered. "I didn't check anything. The bank sent me an alert automatically for large transfers." I leaned back on the sofa, watching her panic unfold. "Olivia, $5 million. Do you know how many years I'd have to work to earn that amount? 30 years without eating or drinking, and you just transferred it to your ex-boyfriend like it was pocket change." She tried to explain. She stumbled over her words, saying Ethan needed help with his startup, that he was short on the down payment for a downtown property, that they were just friends helping each other out. Every excuse sounded more hollow than the last. I let her talk. I let her dig herself deeper into the hole she'd created. Then I brought up something that had been eating at me for months. When my mother was diagnosed with diabetes last month and needed insulin, I asked you for $20,000. Do you remember what you said?
Olivia's eyes dropped to the floor. She knew where this was going. "You said the company was tight on cash. You told me to borrow money to cover it. $20,000 from my mother's medication and you couldn't help? But Ethan White needs $5 million and you don't even hesitate? You don't even tell me? You just transfer it like I don't exist?" The words hung in the air between us like poison gas. I watched my wife of 3 years sit there, unable to defend herself, unable to explain how the man she married was worth less to her than the man she used to date. In that moment, I realized something that broke me. I had never been her first choice. I had always been the safe option, the stable option, the option her parents approved of. But her heart had never left Ethan. "Noah, please listen," she begged. "It's not what you think. Ethan and I are just friends. I've known him since we were kids. He's going through a hard time with his business and I wanted to help." "By giving him money you wouldn't give my sick mother?" I stood up and walked to the window. "In your mind, your ex-boyfriend is more important than your husband, more important than your mother-in-law. Is that right?" She tried to deny it. She tried to reframe it as me being unreasonable, as me being jealous, as me blowing things out of proportion. But I was done listening to excuses. I had spent 3 years making excuses for her. 3 years telling myself that her distance was just her personality, that her priorities would shift once we had been married longer, that her coldness toward my family would warm up with time. I told her I wanted a divorce. She tore up the papers dramatically and declared she would never agree to it. She said I was being petty, that $5 million was nothing to her since her company made $20 million in profit last year. She genuinely could not understand why I was upset. To her, this was a minor issue. To me, it was the final confirmation that we lived in completely different realities.
I walked out that night. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't stay in that apartment with someone who valued me so little. The next day, I got a call from an unknown number. When I answered, a man's voice came through. "Mr. Noah Williams, this is Ethan White. I'd like to meet with you to talk about Olivia." My first instinct was to hang up. What could this man possibly have to say to me? But curiosity got the better of me. And maybe some part of me needed to see him face to face, needed to understand what made him so special that my wife would choose him over me without a second thought. We met at a Starbucks downtown. I recognized him immediately. He was tall, well-dressed, handsome in that refined way that makes people look twice. He stood up when I arrived and shook my hand like we were colleagues meeting for a business discussion. The whole thing felt surreal. He told me he wanted to return the money, said Olivia had transferred it without him asking, that he complained about needing funds for his startup and she just sent it the next day. He claimed he had a girlfriend now, that he and Olivia were over, that he never meant to cause problems in our marriage. I didn't believe a word of it. If you have a girlfriend and you're really over Olivia, why are you still talking to her? Why are you sharing your problems with a married woman? Why are you accepting $5 million from someone else's wife? He tried to defend himself, but I cut him off. I could see through his act. He was playing the nice guy, the misunderstood friend who just wanted to clear the air. But his actions told a different story. He was still emotionally entangled with Olivia, still occupying space in her life that should have belonged to me. Before I left, I told him something that clearly shocked him. "I'm divorcing Olivia. She'll be free soon. Do with her what you want." His face went pale. He protested, saying Olivia loved me, that she talked about how wonderful I was, that I was misunderstanding everything. But I was done with misunderstandings. I was done with being told my feelings were invalid, my concerns were overblown, my hurt was unjustified. I walked out of that Starbucks feeling lighter than I had in years. Something about declaring my decision out loud to the man who had haunted my marriage made it real. There was no going back now. That evening, my mother called. Her voice sounded weak over the phone. She was asking how many days of insulin she had left, trying not to burden me, trying to minimize her own needs like she always did. "Mom, don't worry. I'll buy your medicine tomorrow. I'll get you 6 months' worth so you don't have to think about it." She protested, saying medicine was expensive, that she didn't want to be a burden, that young people have enough financial pressure already. It broke my heart. Here was my mother, literally needing medication to stay alive, apologizing for existing. Meanwhile, my wife had just given $5 million to an ex-boyfriend without losing a moment of sleep. I went to the pharmacy that night and bought 10 boxes of insulin, over $30,000, money I had been saving for emergencies, money Olivia wouldn't contribute when I asked, money that suddenly felt meaningless compared to ensuring my mother's health. When I delivered the medicine to my mother's house, she cried. She kept saying I was too good to her, that she didn't deserve such a filial son, that she hoped I wasn't putting too much pressure on myself. I held her hand and promised her she would never have to worry about medicine again. I would take care of her. That was my job as her son. She asked about Olivia, asked why she didn't come. I made excuses, said she was busy with work. Mom patted my hand and said Olivia was such a hard-working girl, that I needed to be patient with her, that young couples always have struggles, but they work through them. I couldn't tell her the truth. Couldn't tell her that her daughter-in-law, the woman who called her mom, couldn't spare $20,000 for her insulin, but could spare $5 million for a man who meant nothing to our family. It would break my mother's heart to know how little Olivia valued her. As I sat in my mother's small apartment watching her carefully place the insulin in the refrigerator like it was precious treasure, something inside me hardened. This woman raised me. She sacrificed everything for me. She never asked for anything in return, and my wife couldn't be bothered to care whether she lived or died.
That night, I knew with absolute certainty that divorce was the only option. Some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt. When I returned home that night, Olivia was waiting for me. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying. She looked terrible, and part of me felt bad for her. But the larger part of me felt nothing but exhaustion. "We need to talk properly," she said, standing up as I walked in. "There's nothing to talk about. My decision won't change." "Are you really going to divorce me over $5 million? Don't the 3 years we spent together mean anything to you?" I looked at her, really looked at her, maybe for the first time in months. "Olivia, feelings aren't one-sided. When my mother needed medicine and I asked you for $20,000, what did you say?" Her expression crumbled. "I said the company was short on funds, but Noah, I didn't mean—" "But Ethan White needed $5 million, and you transferred it without asking anyone, without thinking twice." I sat down on the sofa. "In your heart, is my mother worth less than Ethan White? Am I worth less than him?" She tried to deny it, tried to reframe it as me being unreasonable. But I pressed her on something she couldn't escape. I asked her to swear that she had no improper feelings for Ethan, to swear that I was the only one in her heart. She couldn't do it. Her face went pale. Her lips moved, but no words came out. Finally, in a voice barely above a whisper, she admitted the truth. "I do still have some special feelings for Ethan, but that's just a memory from the past." There it was, the truth I already knew but needed to hear. My wife was still in love with another man. Our entire marriage had been built on a foundation of her settling for me while dreaming of him. I walked into the bedroom and packed a suitcase. Olivia followed me, begging me not to go, promising to change, swearing she would never contact Ethan again. But it was too late. Some betrayals can't be undone with apologies. Some wounds can't heal while the knife is still in. I left that night and checked into a hotel. As I lay in an unfamiliar bed staring at an unfamiliar ceiling, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. The decision was made. The marriage was over. And for the first time since I saw that bank transfer, I could breathe.
Storytelling, the divorce process was surprisingly quick. I called the Civil Affairs office and arranged an appointment. I sent Olivia a text message with the time and date. She replied immediately, begging me to reconsider, asking for more time, promising things would be different. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. When the day came, I arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau early. I sat on a bench outside, watching couples walk in and out. Some looked happy, newly married, full of hope. Others looked exhausted, defeated, carrying the weight of failed promises. I wondered which category I fell into. Olivia showed up exactly on time. She looked terrible. Her eyes were swollen, her face pale, her whole body seeming to tremble as she walked toward me. "Noah, are you really sure about this?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Yes. Let's go in." She grabbed my arm. "Wait. Ethan has left. He went to Shanghai. He's gone. Doesn't that change anything?" I looked at her tired eyes and shook my head. "Olivia, I told you before. The problem isn't Ethan White. It's your heart. Even if he's gone, there's still a place for him inside you. I don't want a wife who's thinking about another man." Inside the office, a middle-aged clerk tried to talk us out of it. "You're both so young. Surely you can work through your problems. Divorce is a serious decision." "I've thought it through," I said firmly. The clerk looked at Olivia. "And you? Do you agree to the divorce?" Olivia nodded through her tears, unable to speak. 10 minutes later, we walked out holding our divorce certificates. It was over. 3 years of marriage dissolved in less than it takes to watch a sitcom episode. Outside the building, Olivia called after me one last time. "Noah, even though we're divorced, I want you to know I really did love you." I stopped walking, but didn't turn around. "I know." "Did you ever love me?" Her voice was so small I almost didn't hear it. I was silent for a long moment. "Yes, I loved you very much. But loving someone doesn't mean accepting being their second choice."
I heard her sob behind me, but I kept walking. Some endings are necessary for new beginnings. The months after the divorce were strange. I moved into a small apartment near my mother's place so I could take care of her more easily. I focused on work, on exercise, on rebuilding myself. Friends checked in on me, worried I was falling apart. But the truth was, I felt more whole than I had in years. Then, one day, an old college friend named Sophia reached out. She'd heard about my divorce and wanted to check on me. We met for coffee, and she mentioned her company was looking for a technical director. The position paid well, much better than my current job. Would I be interested? I took the interview and got the position. It felt like a sign that life was moving forward, that better things were coming. Sophia and I started spending more time together. She was kind, intelligent, and most importantly, she was present. When we talked, she listened. When I shared my concerns, she cared. When I mentioned my mother, she asked thoughtful questions and genuinely wanted to know her. One evening over dinner, Sophia did something that shocked me. She asked if we could try dating. "I'm not in a hurry," she said when I hesitated. "I can wait until you're ready, but I wanted you to know how I feel." Her honesty was refreshing. Her patience was healing. Slowly, carefully, I let myself open up again. It wasn't easy. Part of me was terrified of being hurt again. But Sophia showed me day after day that not everyone keeps their heart locked away in the past. Some people are fully present, fully committed, fully here. A year later, we got married. It was a small wedding with close family and friends. My mother cried tears of joy, telling me she'd never seen me so happy. And she was right. I was happy. Genuinely, deeply happy, in a way I had never been with Olivia. 2 years after that, Sophia and I had a daughter. Watching her hold our baby girl for the first time, I felt overwhelming gratitude. Gratitude that I had the courage to leave a marriage that was slowly killing me. Gratitude that I didn't settle for being someone's backup plan. Gratitude that I found someone who chose me first every single day.
Sometimes I wonder what happened to Olivia. I heard she moved to the United States to expand her business. I hope she found happiness. I genuinely do. Our marriage failing wasn't entirely her fault. We were simply wrong for each other. She needed someone who didn't mind coming second. I needed someone who put me first. Looking back now, that $5 million transfer was the best thing that ever happened to me. It forced me to see the truth I had been avoiding. It gave me the push I needed to leave. It opened the door for me to find real love, the kind that doesn't come with conditions or competitions or ghosts from the past. If you're in a relationship where you constantly feel like you're not enough, where you're competing with memories or wondering if you're really loved, let me tell you something I wish someone had told me years ago. You deserve better. You deserve someone whose eyes light up when you walk in the room, someone who prioritizes you without being asked, someone whose heart has room for you and only you. Don't settle for being someone's second choice. Don't waste years hoping they'll change. Don't ignore the red flags because you're afraid of being alone. Being alone is better than being lonely in a marriage. Starting over is better than staying stuck. That bank notification changed my life. It ended my marriage, but it also set me free. And sometimes, freedom is the greatest gift we can give ourselves.